April 2nd, 2024. Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Dana Durnford. I'm also known as nuclearproctologist.org. You can call in at 709-589-4406 here in Canada, or in the United States, or in Mexico. We are happy to have you on board. And don't forget to click around a little tiny bit. Think of it as fun and shit too. This is not rocket scientists. We can all learn this. Even the Hulk can learn it, and Spider-Man can learn it. These were all created by the nuclear industry to manipulate you. Remember, in the old days, we used to get rid of our problems. We got to go back to the old days. Ow! That looks painful. That's the way of the nuclear scientists in the future, I bet you. It'll be millions of people looking for these people. Their time is up. Up. I don't even know where to start. Japan and China are in talks over the wastewater. Wastewater. That's quite the scam they got going, isn't it? Wastewater. They're cooling down the reactors. Now, this is reactor 3. That's the plume of reactors covering the planet in 30 days. The official story is nothing got out, and whatever got out was equal to 3 grams of sugar. So I know a lot of people getting ready to click off because, no way, that the nuclear industry or the government would say something like that. Well, you'd be wrong. The author is a professor at the Department of Nuclear and Quantum Engineering in South Korea. And he said the 1.37 million tons of wastewater stored at Fukushima is approximately 2.2 grams of tritium. Everything else is filtered out, he says. And that the discharge is like throwing 3 grams of sugar into the ocean. So the entire emissions from multiple nuclear meltdowns is equal to 3 grams of sugar. This is what we're up against. So if you're looking for reality, sorry, that long vacated the premises. So what is going on? They built 1,000 tanks. They were all built in 2013. This video I'm going to play for you is from the BBC. The BBC. Oh, that's not it. Hang on.
Fukushima plant.
So this is 2013, August, I believe it was. And they're going to talk about what's in the tanks and how many tanks there are. It's a very enlightening video. It's the most important video conceivable if you're curious about the tanks. This explains the tanks. I'll shut up here and get out of the way.
The Fukushima plant sits smack in the middle of an underground aquifer. Deep beneath the ground, the site is rapidly being overwhelmed by water. Beneath the surface, water flows downhill and into the basement of the damaged reactor buildings. There it is contaminated with high levels of radiation. To stop the groundwater flowing on into the nearby ocean, engineers are building an underground barrier. But that is causing the groundwater level to rapidly rise. It's now so high the water will soon reach the surface. Then it will start flowing overground into the sea. This week, the company that owns Fukushima, TEPCO, made this disturbing admission.
We understand that this water discharge is beyond our control, and we do not think the current situation is good.
Outside experts say it's now clear TEPCO is incapable of handling the cleanup at Fukushima. It's time for the Japanese government to step in. The situation is already beyond what TEPCO can handle, he says. If it were possible to take proper measures, they would have done it already. It's not as if TEPCO is refusing to do what they can. They're doing everything they can, but there are no perfect solutions. Even if the government does step in, it's not clear what it can do. The only other solution is to pump out the contaminated groundwater and put it in storage tanks. But after just 2 years, the site is already jammed with more than 1,000 giant tanks. Most of them are already full up. At least 400 tons of new water pours into the site every day, and it's going to continue for years and years. Fukushima's water crisis has only just begun. Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, BBC News in Tokyo.
Wingfield-Hayes from the BBC. So when they're talking about the tanks, and they show you these pictures here, these are not large tanks. But yet that's the 1,000 tanks that they're talking about. And there's maybe 450 of these types of tanks. It's no big deal, right? Somebody else will figure it out. So the original footage, there wasn't a nuclear scientist on the entire planet that didn't understand that the reactor cores and the fuel pools were gone. This is the worst catastrophic event humanity has ever seen. And the whole world's out there in sleepy, sleepy land. TEPCO releases a video of the groundwater entering the crippled Fukushima September the 5th, 2013. This is a month later. And they're talking about 2.2 sieverts per liter is what they were talking about. 2.2 sieverts per liter. Which means a human can't survive walking past 2 liters of this, so to speak. Or a 5-gallon jerry can will kill everybody who walks past it for 1 million years. They picked up 30 million one-ton bags, but what got out was equal to 3 grams of sugar. That's just, nuclear scientists and quantum engineers, right? Who got more credibility, them or me? Well, they do it, obviously. International Atomic Energy Agency admitted there's no such thing as a safe level of radiation, that the standards are based on natural, not man-made. That should just fill you up with confidence. Just fill you up with confidence, Dana. So reactor 3 and reactor 4, there's nothing left. The buildings are completely gone. So these people are pretending that this is just a handful of the media, pretending they're on top of a building that don't exist. This is extraordinary. Name another instance where you've seen something like that. So they took these stumps and put these contraptions over it and then pretended that they were in there. The International Atomic Energy Agency coordinated all of it. If you go back to the original drone footage that they shot, this is the common spent fuel pool. Well, trust me, you have to trust me, but it is there, but it's completely redacted. Obviously, nothing happened to that. Reactor 4, 3, 2, and 1 are redacted. Why are they redacted? There were 736 pictures that were released. Last week we went through them, by the way, again, just to refresh everybody, and it was a good thing. It was a good thing. And also, by the way, Reactor 6 up there is redacted, and the pump house and the stack, the vent stack for the fuel pools is all redacted. Well, that's kind of weird. But then, unfortunately, we found another abnormality last week in the rear, the red rectangle up there. And we were able to track that down, that site. And I believe that's the front gate with the first yellow arrow. But this is a big site. And so it was up in that section up there. Just before we jump into the show here, because we didn't cover that this week, right? So that square right there is that square right there. Right? So this one right here is that fella right there. And we know because there was this weird shape there, and we know that he's right here. Now that's all gone, right? Currently, that's all gone. So that's another abnormality that we can't work out. But the pictures that were released with the drone drew us a map right to that section that is redacted. Hang on. Yeah, that section there. And we had markers, etc. Let me see if I find something better. So this section here, and so the drone pictures, the 736 drone pictures that were released on the 10th anniversary, the year of the 10th anniversary, I should say, quietly released. And when you zoomed in on it, you start noticing this stuff redacted. Reactor 1, 2, 3, and 4 are redacted. Common spent fuel pool is redacted. Reactor number 6 is redacted. And something up in this huge area up here is all redacted, which is on the other end, the other spectrum, because the fuel reactors are up that way. And so this is a landmark, that was a landmark. The red is a landmark, and then the blue section is the section we don't know. So these two were landmarks. I just wanted to touch on that because kind of important that you have all these areas redacted. And so when they released these pictures, there was a set of pictures that went, see how this is going in? And that's two markers. That one right there and that L like almost an E shape right there. And up in the top left-hand corner, you can see the pixelated redacted. But you have to zoom in the red up there. You had to zoom in to see all that redacted stuff. And so they drew you a line up there, and then they done another short set of pictures that drew you a picture all the way back to the reactors. It was a straight line to the common spent fuel pool. Reactor 3 could have thrown reactor cores up there, right? I don't know for sure because, you know, it was a spectacular kablooey. Yeah, if you're confused, don't feel bad. It gets worse, actually. Okay. So we got an earthquake in Japan. We got Ignace is going to do a vote here in Canada and the native community close by where they're going to put nuclear dumps. And that whole story is the strangest story you're going to hear. But that stuff is going to come up later in the video. Not too later in the video, but it's going to come up later. And so this is a story from April 2023. Japan nuclear wastewater discharge plan provokes worldwide protest. And they protested tritium instead of uranium, plutonium, americium, neptunium, all the other hideous, monstrous isotopes. So if you go read this story in 2023, when they lead up to it, the International Atomic Energy Agency's role is to analyze and confirm data provided by TEPCO. Now, they allegedly got a full-time office at Fukushima as of this year. But for 12 years, they didn't even go there. And on the 13th year, they went 5 times, which was last year, or 12th year was last year, leading up to the alleged releases. Now, I showed you the buildings. Buildings are already gone. At the BBC, we're saying all the reactors, all the stuff in the tanks was pumped up from underneath the reactors in 2013, and almost all the tanks were full. In 2013, in the video played earlier, TEPCO said they had no control of the site. But we have lots of supporting documentation for those assertions, by the way. IAEA's role is to analyze confirmed data provided by TEPCO. That hasn't changed. And not directly collect samples and verify them. That hasn't changed. They go out allegedly with TEPCO and get samples and look for tritium because nothing else exists. I'm surprised they're not looking for sugar. So if you go back to 2023, this was another story about the 30 million one-ton bags. One-ton bags. Try wrapping your mind around that statement. 30 million. It says public trust key to the projects using radioactive soil. The projects are farms. So because everybody stopped paying attention, now they want to grow food in the bags because they don't want to store them for a million years. And don't be shocked that they're growing food in it because they haven't stopped growing food in the rest of the prefectures. That's a nuclear wasteland. I'm sorry, yeah. Difficult to return. Everybody else calls it a nuclear wasteland, which of course is what it is. The International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulator, not in a position to judge or approve Japan's soil recycling project. So they don't go out and collect samples. They're not a regulatory agency. It's to analyze and confirm data provided by the criminals themselves. And when it comes to the bags, the same year, the 30 million one-ton bags, they're not a regulator and not in a position to judge or approve anything Japan does. And Japan is not obligated to give them a beep of a... Okay, so we're starting to get there. Let's get it rolling here. 2014, TEPCO was unable to bring the contaminated water issues under control at Fukushima. The tanks were built hastily to hold a highly, not tritium, but highly contaminated water. And think about that statement, highly contaminated water. And that was 2014. And remember, now, we've already covered last week and the week before that the ALP system wasn't even completed. It was just started in 2013, right? And you go back a couple of shows and you'll see all of that stuff. Which reminds me, I got to put that in the pile that I got there so I can find it on the drop of a hat. U.S. states hit with extremely large peaks of Fukushima radioactive material. Now, I know what you're saying. Sugar, Dana? There's 3 grams of sugar, don't forget, Dana. I know, right? But there was also a significant amount of plutonium released for months. Not hours, but months. And radioactivity from the plant measured globally, / plutonium measured globally. And the plutonium blanketed the entire northern hemisphere. Plutonium was measured globally and blanketed it. The measured globally is one thing. Blanketed is a whole different thing, okay? And so nobody died according to the apologists we see out there all the time. But we have tons of deaths, right? Extreme increase in mortality caused by cardiac diseases in Fukushima. The death rates might give the creeps to some people. Think about that statement. Might give the creeps. I think they're going to give the creeps to all people. You've seen a 12.5% increase of death by heart attacks, which was an extra 12,700 people in the first year, or a single month, rather. And the number of deaths caused by tumors was up another 7.7% compared to the month of the year before. Now, remember, cancer is not supposed to show up for a long time, but there's other illnesses and diseases and autoimmune deficiencies and injuries and illnesses that will manifest before cancer. There's lots of them because your immune system is compromised. The number caused by cardiac diseases was also up 14.6%. Hot radioactive particles in Seattle, United States, at 50% of the level seen in Tokyo, and it latches onto the lung tissues. The New York Times contributor confirms California rainwater was at 180 times above drinking water standards, which meant you're supposed to abandon California. Because this stuff never goes away, and it permeates into all the metal, into your school playgrounds, your children's playgrounds, your toys. Your pet comes in, is licking it off their feet. The issues are holy schmoly tough stuff. Nuclear fallout will engulf Taiwan. It wasn't just America and Canada. Starting April the 6th, people should stay home or immediately take off their clothes and cleanse the nuclear contaminants. So they're not talking about cleaning the nuclear contaminants from the clothes. What they're talking about is taking your clothes off and putting it in a garbage bag and leaving it outdoors, and your boots. And by right, you should be shaving your hair. And then you go in the shower and scrub and rinse and rinse and scrub and scrub and rinse and rinse and scrub until you're bleeding. And then scrub and rinse some more. And throw your clothes away. Radioactive rain caused 130 schools in South Korea to close. The current administration is like, no, it's like 3 grams of sugar, for goodness sakes. What's the big whoop? Yet the rain in California had 10 times more. It was 10 million times more. 220 million atoms per liter. In Fukushima, or in Japan, not Fukushima, but the entire country, they've seen congenital heart diseases rise 14.2% per 100,000, which means 14,200. It was 14.2%. 14,200 children needed open heart surgery. Neonates and infants needed open heart surgery per 100,000. This is unbelievable numbers. To correct, and 11 becquerels a kilogram causes heart diseases in children. 11 atoms per kilogram. You put 200 million atoms on the head of a needle, you can't see it. And Japan was getting that per kilogram. You got to multiply that by 66.6 to get a square meter. They found plutonium in every sample. In every sample. Everywhere across the country. So pre-Fukushima, 1 in a million to 2 in a million children would have thyroid tumors. Now it was 35.8% per million, which it turned out to be 13,646 out of 38,000, when it used to be 1 or 2 per million pre-Fukushima. So these are unbelievable numbers. And remember, a child's thyroid, or a human adult's thyroid, is 3 by 5 centimeters. The tumors are 2 centimeters or bigger. So on a child's thyroid, which is really small, it's around 2 centimeters, you're talking about a tumor the size of your thyroid, and the thyroid produces hormones for your functions, right? It also stores hormones in your pituitary glands. And all the hormones we're talking about are going to be radioactive. And when you got that amount going on in your body, this is the first year, right? This is within 1 year. If you got that amount going on in the children's bodies, for instance, you can guarantee that their skeleton is full of plutonium and strontium and americium, curium. And what that means is you're mutating stem cells, which explains why they had 865,000 extra cancers in the first year. Among other things, they're growing food right alongside of 1-ton bags of radiation in the nuclear wasteland, surrounded by 14 prefectures that were banned by 55 countries for over a decade. This is confirmation. Like they wished it away. That's all they done. But it didn't go away. But they wished it away from the public eye, I should say. If you look at the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation, UNSCLEAR, they commissioned themselves a study. And so the first one over is the community. The second one is the population in the community. The third line, these are the 3 lines I want you to look at, is the average disposition density per square meter. And absorbed doses of red bone marrow. And what they done was they tried to pretend that it was very, very little. But the numbers were each atom in this line right here. Think about each atom as pulsing energy at the speed of light, and think about each number as an atom, and a becquerel is a pulse of energy from an atom. So Fukushima City with 230 million, or 230,000, and they're only acknowledging cesium-137, which in on itself is a complete crime. You can't just have gamma. And by the way, gamma pulse is up to around 600 feet. And so this is wrecking your chromosomes, your DNA, your cells, and everything else every second. So your body has to repair each one of them each second, and it has to attack the source each second. So in Fukushima City, you're surrounded by incredible amounts. And what's going on when you're surrounded by this amount, you're talking just gamma. You got to realize the alphas and neutrons, the betas are right there too. And when they all pulse energy almost at the speed of light. And when they hit each other, they don't mingle, so they change direction. So you got almost the speed of light, hitting each other, changing direction. And because you can't perceive it, doesn't mean it's not terrible for your body, your immune system. And that's called an X-ray, that deflection, the Bromson lung effect. And so when you look at all these communities, each of these nuclear plants before Fukushima was around 180 counts per square meter was an evacuation zone. So all of these communities should have been evacuated. They decided to leave them there because they don't want to pay for that. And the International Atomic Energy Agency obviously coordinated with them to do that. So when you see the communities to your left, remember this is only a fraction of the places. But they abandoned all those communities. Japan professed for 1,000 years from now contaminated water from Fukushima may be still entering the Pacific Ocean. It's necessary to keep monitoring during that time. United Kingdom lifted restrictions on food products in Fukushima, June the 29th, 2022. UK lifted the ban now 2.5 years before that. Boris Johnson removed the restrictions on baby food and cereal from the nuclear wasteland. And 2.5 years later, he removed it for the rest of the population. Like, why would you remove restrictions for children first rather than the other way around? Why would you remove restrictions? Because that's a real-life monster. And very high concentration of hot particles in the Pacific Northwest during April and May includes plutonium and americium. You don't want this in your community, folks. And now they done the whole planet in, but we still got to deal with it. There's still hemorrhaging radiation. In Canada now they're going to, I'm going to cover a story about that coming up later. The Nuclear Waste Management Organization, which is the industry, is the monsters themselves, got a $28 billion fund for 18 years now. And they always try to put the nuclear waste in a community because they know the community will vote no eventually, right? And the whole story is just, it's right out of Orwell coming up later. Because they don't want to come up with a solution. They got the money, they got more than enough money. All they had to do was go 500 miles north where it's not going to affect the aquifers and 37,000 lakes and everything else. But they're doing it there because they don't want a solution, right? They know everybody will vote it down. And they're not spending any money because they're growing interest on $28 billion a year. You know how much interest that is? It's unbelievable. Unprecedented spike, 1,500 atoms of radioactive sulfur per cubic meter was detected in the California air. Sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyballs was from spraying salt water on the reactors. And you created this sulfur where it's spherical balls, like a soccer ball kind of shape, and it ingests uranium, curium, americium, neptunium, strontium, and all these other isotopes, and becomes super hot particles that are very mobile. Fukushima release was so great that radioactive aerosols in Washington were up to 100,000 times normal. It was actually 400. The next study came out was 450,000 times. But what this meant was you were supposed to abandon Washington. And then another study, the Xenon-133, which burns a hole through your lungs and ends up in your bones, the children and the insects, the birds, the mammals, the animals, was 450,000 times above detection levels after Fukushima and persisted for weeks. Well, it never goes away. But we're talking, when they're talking persisted for weeks, because Xenon-133 has a short half-life, but the damage is permanent. It's extremely powerful, and it doesn't travel by itself. And so there's a mathematical extrapolation you would do when you have a xenon to calculate curium, uranium, plutonium, americium, neptunium, strontiums, and 1,000 other fission products. But the industry is very, very slick and not educating the population. So the population is pretty gullible on the significance of what's going on. And they're planning on keeping it that way. And that's why you don't see anybody on my shows. I'm censored. Incredible. Is iodine-131 killing babies in Philadelphia? The deaths are up 48% since radiation levels spiked in tap water. Well, it wasn't just iodine-131, right? It was massive xenon. It was unbelievable amount of sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyballs. It was massive amount of iodine-129. There's a huge madness. Another super study of 360 atoms of radioactive sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyballs intends to concentrate in testicles, around 360 atoms per day, inhaled by the Californians. So this is sterilizing everything and everybody. That particular stuff. The whole story is heartbreaking. And 11 becquerels a kilogram, children with over 11 becquerels a kilogram start to see heart problems. For 50 atoms a kilogram of cesium-137, because apparently nothing else exists, it's permanent heart damage, irreversible heart damage. And for adults, 50 atoms per kilogram, because you can put 200 million atoms on the head of a needle, you can't see it, so imagine how tiny 50 are. It's permanent lesion to our organs. So imagine that's going to happen to moose and caribou and bears and raccoons and everything else, right? Squirrels, birds in particular will become sterilized. Radioactive iodine-131 in Pennsylvania exceeded the maximum contaminated levels permitted in drinking water. Well, it can't just be iodine. Highly radioactive glass rained on Tokyo at 500 trillion atoms per kilogram. Significant consequences for human health. And it changes the understanding of the disaster. It's extremely important. And our ideas of health implications should change. But then you got Young Jung-il, which is a professor at the Department of Nuclear Quantum Engineering, coming out and says it's like throwing 3 grams of sugar into the ocean. So the industry just literally hates us. Radiation precautions for areas near Seattle, Vancouver, Portland. Perhaps you need to wash your shoes. Well, if you got to wash your shoes, then you got to throw them away. You can't just wash radiation away. And this was Geraldine Thomas. It's the duty of the scientific community to reduce the public's fear and anxiety about radiation. No health dangers from 876,000 microsieverts a year. So multiply that by 750 atoms each microsiever times 867,000 microsieverts. 876 millisieverts. A millisievert is 1,000 microsieverts. These are extraordinary doses, and you don't measure radioactive fallout in microsieverts or millisieverts. You measure it in physical atoms. And the pulse, the energy is called a Becquerel. So we just showed you lots of stuff in Becquerels, right? When you see millisievert, microsieverts, because they're trying to hide it, it doesn't look nearly as bad as 856,000 times 750 atoms would. We wouldn't expect to see health effects in children, workers, or anyone else. This is UN committee chairman studying Fukushima. But how could you not expect to see health effects when the health effects were showing up constantly following that? And I showed you quite a bit there earlier, documented. And scientists, the very lowest levels of radiation are harmful to life. We have to rethink exposure levels from nuclear power plants. So all of eastern Japan evacuated. Fukushima plant was abandoned. But it was abandoned. And everybody should have evacuated. And it's been abandoned many times because of the China syndrome, the plumes. The whole site has disappeared in the lethal radioactive steam plumes, where the emissions coming out of the ground was at over 10 sieverts per hour, which was the max the Geiger counters can read. So they went into cover-up from the get-go. 12 million yen, which was about 54,000 US, to censor Twitter being spent by the city starting to burn radioactive debris. Japan government agency funding projects to monitor online information about Fukushima. Well, if we stop, then there's a lot of people going to lose their jobs, right, if I stop. Around-the-clock monitoring of blogs on nuclear power. Around-the-clock monitoring, not of the blogs, but of the bloggers. TEPCO has worked vigilantly to shut out close scrutiny of the ravaged plant condition. And so we got a poll tonight that I still haven't got to, my apologies. Should Japan allow independent testing of Fukushima tanks after 13 years of secrecy? Does that make sense? Am I being too pushy? Should TEPCO allow independent testing of the Fukushima tanks? I think they should. 13 years. I think it's time somebody else had a look, and not the degenerate International Atomic Energy Agency. TEPCO has worked vigilantly to shut out scrutiny of the ravaged plant's condition. That's why they built Kevlar sarcophagus over Reactor 1, was to hide it from scrutiny, right? Japan Times column is the public, possibly worldwide, which is appropriate, sickens over time. The truth will come out about Fukushima. And I mean, the whole planet was buried in radioactive fallout, the entire planet. And this industry, that's its permanent legacy. Everywhere you look is a betrayal. It's a pretty disgusting betrayal on top of that. Hang on. Here we keep going. The radiation pulses are like explosions going off in the cells, blowing holes through the DNA. Fukushima is the most serious man-made disaster in human history, and obesity rates are now nearly doubled Japan's average. An excessive weight gain after a nuclear crisis is a marker of radiation brain damage. No, I'm not aware of a earthquake in Taiwan as we speak. I know we got an earthquake in Japan on land. Just give me a second here. So Taiwan, of course, has epic earthquakes. Let me do that again. Now, Taiwan has earthquakes where skyscrapers tip over, right? Taiwan's got a tsunami warning issued. Let me bring it up on the screen for everybody. This is 22 minutes ago. Taiwan's got a 7.4 magnitude earthquake off the east coast. And it's from CNN. Should I click on it? I don't know if I should click on it. CNN. Earthquake struck off of a major earthquake with a magnitude 7.4. Now, because Taiwan uses the same Taiwan uses the same scale as Japan, which is a 0 to 7 Shindu scale. So they're expecting up to 3 meters expected imminently. Wow, here we go, folks. Breaking news. Thank you. Yeah, no, I wasn't aware of the earthquake in Taiwan. Let's cover that for a few minutes. So the big earthquake they had in 1999 tipped over skyscrapers, right? And they just had a major earthquake in Japan too this morning on land. And so now they're talking about a tsunami. Let's go look that up right quick. I didn't want Brave. Bear with me. 17 minutes ago, 13 minutes ago. I'm not seeing any pictures. We're just looking for something that tells us where the tsunami is to. So I'm sure other people are out there now doing the same as I'm doing. If anybody knows what's going on, you can call in at 709-589-4406. All lines are currently open. So all of these headlines we got here now in the last 20 minutes or less. It's about 186 miles from the earthquake's epicenter. And Japan and Taiwan. Japan has issued a tsunami alert in the last 10-15 minutes. So up to 9.8 feet, which means that could rise up to 30 to 40 feet. It's going to be coming in at about 400 miles per hour. And what it sounds like, we're going to have multiple earthquakes coming in. Island-wide train service suspended. Subway service in the capital is suspended. So this is a real earthquake, folks. It was strong enough to knock items off shelves in the cities 186 miles away. So this is the real deal. we got breaking news going on here right now. 7.6. So let's get some detail here. Fucking Canada. I didn't want to use Brave. I wanted to use another browser. Is it going to give me anything else? No. Okay. That's okay. We'll come back to that in a few seconds. Just bear with me. So that's huge news. That's big news. Oh my, oh my. And so we got some breaking news. We got a major earthquake and tsunami apparently headed for the coastline. Yeah, not right now, Thinker. Just bear with me, folks. We got a major tsunami and an earthquake taking place off the coastline of Taiwan. Taiwan sounds like it shook severely. All right, here we go. Oh, that's what's going on. Okay, hang on. I'll bring up the bingy. There we go. I'll bring Dana into the picture. We got news, the last hour. We should be able to hit it right here now. It's 26 minutes, 34 minutes. We're looking for anything that can give us... City news is showing buildings getting ready to fall down. Rocking the entire island, collapsing buildings, folks. Collapsing buildings. Holy shit. My goodness. Collapsing buildings. It's morning down there. So apparently that's today. That's right now happening. We're going to play it. Just bear with me. Let me turn the audio on for you. Let me start that again.
Papa, 不要太靠近，你退后。
Try that again.
爸爸，不要太靠近，你退后。
All right, so we got a real event playing out, folks. We got a real event playing out. My goodness. Alrighty. Well, we got a breaking story. Let's see what else we can find here before we... Tsunami warning issued for southwest Japan after magnitude. 8 minutes ago, Sky News. Wow, we're into it now. Tsunami warning is issued. Rock Taiwan. You got a tsunami warning for Japan. Damaged power grids in multiple areas of the city led to collapse of buildings. About 18 kilometers southwest, folks. Not 185 miles. 18 kilometers southwest. This is a close one. So the tsunami should show up any minute. It should probably be showing up right now. Evacuate. So South Korea is quite a ways away, so it'll hit there in the next hour. Warns of waves of 3.1 meters. That's a real wave. It's coming in at 400 plus miles per hour. When it hits shallow water, it's going to rise up another 10, 20, 30 feet. I'm talking about Japan there now. Well, what's the date on this story? Did I make a mistake? April the 3rd, that's today. I don't want to play those videos because they're liable to hit me with a copyright, right? So let's be thoughtful about this. 7.4 magnitude hits Taiwan. Tsunami warning raised in 4 provinces. So they got one coming. Because they had another one yesterday, was it? By the looks of it. Okay, so we have breaking news. We have an earthquake, a massive one, and a tsunami in the Pacific. If people are up by the coastline, you're in those countries. You need to grab some supplies and get out of Dodge, get up to high ground. There might be nothing to it, but it's better to get up than not. Okay, so let me see here. This is just madness. My apologies for any confusion. We're doing our typical show tonight. But now we have breaking news. Has anybody got any input on this? 5.2 in the same region, says James. James says they're expecting to hit Japan in 30 minutes. Yeah, and like you said, that makes sense because it's traveling at over 400 miles per hour. So it won't take very long to make it to Japan. Yeah, there's some in the United States. Now, they always show the American, the worldwide, the Richter scale, right? But that's usually the cover story. I don't want to click on CNN. That's right. That's right, Colette. Okay, so let's cover a couple of stories, but anybody want to text me if you hear any updated news? Text me, and I'll go back over and refresh the news cycle. Let me close that stuff because we got the other browser open, right? So all I got to do is copy it up there, and we'll get any past hour news, right? So we're on the 1 hour cycle right now. We're trying to get pictures. I mean, that video was just incredible. That was incredible to watch. And it's literally nothing, right? But again, you got to be careful because we're live streaming. We don't want to get a copyright. And they'll be happy to give it to me. And so let's see if it gives me images in the last hour, if anything shows up here in pictures. Past 24 hours. So this is a good way to find any damage. But you got to worry about which story you're clicking on. 7.8 magnitude hits Taiwan. Multiple buildings have fallen. Let's explore this for a few minutes. 7 aftershocks followed powerful 7.4 magnitude. I think this is an old story right there. Let me go backwards or somehow. Yeah, past 24 hours. We're seeing 7 aftershocks. Let's open that one up. Holy shit, eh? Let's go to that story. A massive earthquake struck Taiwan, tsunami alert. At least 7 major aftershocks recorded in the last number of minutes. Back-to-back 7 major aftershocks have been observed. So they got multiple tsunamis coming in, folks. And we're talking as close as 12.7 kilometers. Holy shit. 7 magnitude. Let's go to that story and have a quick look at it. So that one's not private. We'll find another one. Let's check a couple more. Anything you see below could be 5-10 years ago, right? So this is the 24-hour one. And somebody's already got a wave there. Oh, this could be another one here. Let's explore this for a little bit here, because this is breaking as we're talking. That looks like one of the old pictures. Let's see what we're looking at here. Oh, it's India TV, so that could very well be an old picture. Or that could be today. I don't know. So I don't know. A quake. Television shows buildings in eastern cities shaking off their foundations. And rocking the entire island, collapsing buildings. So because it's breaking news, we got a tsunami rolling in. We don't know what's what, right? That looks like, I don't remember seeing that picture from Taiwan. So that could very well be new. And I'm assuming it is. This is, let's see what they're saying. Holy smokeroos. So they have major aftershocks, 7 major aftershocks that are over 7 and are close to land. Measuring a 30-centimeter tsunami reached the island. I got no idea. My goodness. Okay, so we'll leave this window up because all we got to do then is refresh the page, right? Let's see if this one got any meat to it. A depth of 9 kilometers, very shallow, which means it's incredible shaking. So I don't know what's going on, but they're talking about older. I don't know if that's today or it could very well be. I mean, that's a stunning looking picture. If that's tonight, if that's happening right now in the last half an hour or something, then holy shit is all I can say. Wow. Tomorrow night's going to be a crazy show, I can tell you that much. I got a feeling tomorrow night's I'm probably going to do a show tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow morning when I get up. I'll probably be working on this late tonight. Okay, well, let's refresh this page. So I don't know what to say right now. We got a major earthquake playing out, major tsunamis. Tsunami alert 34 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. We're hoping to find some pictures or short videos from that picture to your left might be real, so we'll check that out in a second. Yeah, and look, it showed up again. It showed up 3 times. So that's definitely going to be today. That's definitely another building. And this image taken from a video footage run by TVB as the partially collapsed building is seen in that community where it's right off the coastline, 15 kilometers. It created a tsunami that washed ashore on the Japanese islands already. But because they're having so many aftershocks, again, this is all very preliminary. We're still really early. So that picture showed up in multiple stories that time. I hope there's no tsunami. Within 18 kilometers south of Taiwan's Holun City, at a depth of 34 kilometers. So we're getting all kinds of different numbers. It's the strongest in 25 years since the 1999 earthquake. And that one wrecked huge parts of the country. A 5-story building appeared heavily damaged, collapsed. Its first floor has collapsed. So everybody down there would have been, I hope they're okay, but it's not looking good. Leaving the rest of the building at 45 degrees. So the bottom story collapsed. That's because it was a shallow earthquake. My heart goes out to everybody down there, the victims, the loved ones. Okay, so we got some. We're still early in it. Information's still not showing up. Thank you for the text message there, letting us get us aware of all of this. I'm waiting to find some media to give us the dot on the map, so to speak, of exactly where it's to. And that could take a long time, so I got no idea. Yeah, I got no idea. This is a breaking story. So 7 large aftershocks in the last half an hour or so. Dana Nasana is saying 3 of the mid-5 range. He's 7.6 and a 6.5 into the mid-5s. These are fast and tough. These are incredible earthquakes in a row. And because Taiwan uses a Shindu scale of 0 to 7. And so you got to be, a lot of the numbers are thrown, when they talk about like a 5, you got to assume that it could be on the Shindu scale. Hi, John. Thank you. 7 aftershocks of around a 7 is one report we got, yeah. Dana's finding different numbers. James is out there hunting. He gave us some great stuff. New quakes popping up in the same region. So when you see solid numbers, because what we notice the industry is doing is they'll say it's a magnitude, but the next couple of days you find out it was actually Shindu scales, right? So Japan and Taiwan has a habit of doing that. Yerloff says Japan waters are currently dropping, which is what happens with a tsunami. Hi, everybody. Okay. Thank you. Something. So, yeah, I got no idea. Oh, man. So, that's insane. That's insane. Well, we got some investigation that needs to be done to see what the hell is going on. I got no idea. From what I'm just read in the comments from James and from Dana, for instance, it's really bad down there. Tsunami alert. Let's run through some more headlines, because we got to kind of fixate on this story for a few minutes. My apologies. Anybody was hoping to get the other stories tonight. We'll cover them tomorrow night, I would imagine. But early tomorrow, I'm expecting to be doing another show. And so let's look up Taiwan's nuclear power plants. Let's find a map of that. Oh my. And nuclear dumps. We know some of the nuclear dumps is on Orchard Island. I'm screwing up here, am I? NUCL. I'll get it. What the hell just happened? LEAR. I see nuclear there, then it disappeared. Did you remember see that? Taiwan nuclear power plant. Let's find maps. So up there, apparently that's where the tsunami and earthquakes are too, is up here. But the whole country is shaking, right? So we're going to leave that there for the time being. Let's see if we got any more pictures showed up. We're currently covering a earthquake and tsunami in real time. The Herald Sun is showing clusters of earthquakes, are they? Let's go over there and find out, see what we got here. Come on, Herald Sun, you can do it. This is Australia media. So Taipei, we know, is having serious earthquakes. "18 kilometers southwest of Hainan City," which is right there where my cursor is to. Part of the city reportedly lost power, and we watched that video, I do believe, already. And so now we're getting some footage coming out. So we got multiple story buildings. A bridge is rocked by the earthquakes. Prompting tsunami warning, waves of 3 meters in nearby countries. Do not stop, do not go back. I'm not sure what the markings mean. Major aftershocks are hitting the islands. So yeah, that's the original first footage. The bridges are swaying heavily. Skyscrapers are tipping over or collapsing. We got multiple 6, 7, 8-story buildings that are leaning at least 40 degrees or 45 or 50 degrees. We have landslides obviously going on here too in Taiwan. And we have that video. I mean, that's a scary video. It's close to land, it's very shallow, which are very violent earthquakes. Okay, so all I can do is I don't think we should spend the whole show. I think we should suspend the show, I guess. And because I'm not going to get back on track at this stage, obviously. Because now my brain is rattled. This is a massive earthquake. We tried that picture earlier, didn't we? I'm not sure if the picture to your right over there, 20, is current, or this picture there is current. Because you got to be pretty careful. I know this is probably real. Let's refresh this page one more time. Okay, so that one's, because we know the earthquake is shallow. We know where the nuclear power plants are too. It's, Norway. And so the media is just picking up the story in the last hour. This is going to snowball over the next couple of hours significantly. And I would imagine all the media is going to start covering this in the next hour. And so they're saying the earthquake is right around here. And I'm not sure what the distance are. I'm not sure what the distance is to the nuclear power plants. Now, if nuclear power plants lose external power and with a huge multiple earthquakes coming in, you could have a significant accident there. Let's check out this picture. That skyscraper, not liking the looks of that. 7 aftershocks follow powerful. I got no idea what this is. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. It's probably legit, but I'm not seeing... I don't think the information will show up, like all the damage for the next couple of hours before it starts to show up. Right now, we're just guesstimating. We're doing the best we can. And we're looking for anything new to show up. We're not really seeing... We're seeing new, but we're not seeing... We don't know much of the story. We're just guessing right now. But there's definitely lots of damage. There's lots of buildings collapsing. There's huge aftershocks. There's massive amount of shaking going on. The earthquake is in a highly populated areas, and the whole country is shaking. Bridges are shaking. And my heart goes out to everybody out there. We're probably just going to pick up tomorrow night story. I was in the city today. We're going to close the show up here. I'll just show everybody. I went and I had to get a multimeter. I had to get a bunch of equipment extra. Like we got most stuff now at this stage. I'll just give you a quick walkthrough. I needed real knee pads. I can't get down and work on my knees for some reason. And last week, if I touch the ground with my knees, it's excruciating pain for me. So I picked up a $20 set of knee pads on sale. I picked up, I needed another charger. That's a 4-amp charger. They were on sale for $30-something. Normally they're $50-something. So I done that. The multimeter I paid $100 for it. And that's one of those where you just grab the wire and it'll read it automatically for you. It's a double, these are auto-ranging digital multimeters with clamps. So that's the real deal. I got a lot of work. I got to rewire the whole boat too, right? And I'm having problems with equipment, and now that's going to resolve it. And the other multimeter I got was embarrassing when you think about it, but we blew it apart on Sunday. Do you know, every time, the last 6 times I went in the city to pick up stuff, I picked up the lights and then put them back down because we had to get other stuff. I didn't have enough money to get the lights for the trailers. I still need another pack of them, but I said frig it today and picked it up. So I got it. I already got the wiring harnesses for it too, right? I picked up another, I got this for $8, 100 lock nuts, metric nylon lock nuts. And I done a little video there somewhere. Oh, and this is a brake, automatic brake for my trailer because I don't have I broke the automatic brake on the trailer. So I got a little video from today that'll help explain. So it's April the 2nd. We got a really nice multimeter set. And we got decent knee pads. My knees are shot. We got a breakaway switch for the trailer because mine is shot. I got real pliers this time for stripping wires. And Spurgeon got nuts. We needed another permanent charger. It was a 4-amp. I was going to get the red, but they're expensive, and then I changed my mind and got them anyway. And another one of them guys. super happy for, very grateful to have that stuff today. And there's some cable clamps there, you can't see it. And Optics donated 130 today. And we had 2 donations yesterday, Stephen on Sunday, and that was a total of $230 anyway, today. And we're so close to getting the boat together. And we got snow tomorrow. That's not going to stop me, obviously. I'm in the go mode right now. So I'm probably going to be doing a show tomorrow. There's an earthquake on land in Lithia, in not too far from Fukushima, on land, which is a 5 on Japanese scale, which means it's an upper 5 in Japan scale, which is a 7.8. A few days ago, they had one up by Tokyo on land, and now we got one in Taiwan, and massive aftershocks right behind it. Let's just refresh this one more time before we call it a night. Because like everybody now, everybody wants to get it and search this stuff. I got no idea. I do know we got a significant event playing out in real time. And so don't be surprised if I show back up tonight. If there's a major story, I'm probably going to show back up tonight. But most likely it'll be tomorrow morning. So keep your eye out for a video tomorrow. You can see there we got more buildings collapse. People panic, strong, shaking. And let's bring that story up. This picture, I'm guessing now, is real because that showed up multiple times. That video picture showed up multiple times. That building has showed up multiple times. And did I miss anything? Yeah, that building is the same. They're shown up multiple times. We know bridges, this building collapsed, the first floor of it. Let's go up and look at this story one more time. Well, if that building collapsed, you can be sure. It shook them off their foundations. They have a special kind of foundations because you do have a lot of earthquakes. But this is significant what we're looking at. My heart goes out to all the victims and their families. And I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody here tonight with us. Okay, so that's incredible stuff tonight. We're going to close the poll down. Should Japan allow independent testing of Fukushima tanks after 13 years of secrecy? Well, yes, they should. Yeah, good night, everybody. James Box is saying they lost the internet. Yellow is saying there's videos all over Telegram. Okay, I'll sign in Telegram actually after. Thanks, Blue Jay, everybody. So you got even more. James Lucid is reporting more aftershocks. So I'm going to go out and start hunting. And don't be surprised if I come back for a half an hour update. So if you want to go later, make sure you check in on my site. Because I'm probably going to post something. I'm going to leave all my gear running in the studio. And I'm going to go out and start hunting. And gather up what I can. And I might be back tonight. Or if not, I'll be back in the morning. But for the time being, I'm going to leave all equipment running. And so, because we don't know what's going on for sure, right? But we know this is a real event. This is a real event, okay? And the initial footage is unbelievable. And so I'll go out and scour the internet in the next hour. And if I come up with a story that we haven't already covered, I might show up and do another video. If not, I'm probably going to do an update tomorrow morning when I get up. And so 8-10 hours. Yeah, I'm pretty blown away right now. Absolutely, my brain is blown away at this moment. Hi, Stephen Young. Yeah, good night, Stephen. And you're lovely, of course. Yeah, good night, everybody. That's a crazy story. I hope everybody's evacuating on those coastlines. Hugs for everybody. We'll see everybody at some point in the next 10 hours, 12 hours. Or sooner. It depends. Because it looks like I got a story to put together in the next hour. So I am going to leave all my equipment running. Just in case another story comes up. Okay. Good night, everybody.